four candidates have gone head-to-head at the very last Republican debate of the year. Donald Trump, another no-show. He did tease that he might attend beforehand, but that hasn't put a dent in his popularity ratings. Joining me live now is former White House Chief of Staff and now Bondi Partners consultant Mick Mulvaney. Mick, great to see you. Vivek really went Nikki Haley in this one, didn't he?
He did, and I don't think he made any friends. Of course, you have to ask yourself if you go into politics to make friends in the first place. But Vivek Ramaswamy's performance was generally panned across the political spectrum. He was just downright mean and rude to pretty much everybody on the stage. So Christie actually came to Nikki Haley's defense. Vivek was being so rude to her. So he's probably not going to appear anymore on national stages. Of course, it sounds now, Laura, like there won't be any more debates. This was going to be looks like it will have been the last one. But Vivek Ramaswamy and Christie continue to struggle in the polls. It looks like it's really a three-way race right now with Donald Trump far in the lead over Nikki Haley and Ron DeSantis.
Yeah, it kind of, what it really highlighted for me is, Vivek's kind of trying to play the Trump card without playing Trump, if you know what I mean. He's trying to differentiate himself between the others by being a little extreme on some things, particularly when it comes to foreign policy. But is that going to be something that captures the hearts and minds of Republicans, or is it more domestic issues?
Well, first and foremost, it's domestic issues, as it is in most elections. All politics at the end of the day is local, and how people feel about their own pocketbooks and their way of life and their savings and so forth, and children's opportunities are going to always drive elections here. But foreign policy has been quite interesting. It is a little it's an opportunity for the candidates to differentiate themselves, because some of them are a little bit more interventionist when it comes to foreign policies. Others are a little bit more isolationist or non-interventionist. So there has been some of that discussion. Nikki Haley, for example, would be much more neoconservative or interested in intervening overseas than would Donald Trump, for example. So there has been a little bit of that. Again, typically in our elections, foreign policy doesn't drive an outcome, but it is giving voters a little bit of an insight as to what's different about the various candidates.
Yeah. So how did Nikki Haley go?
Fine. She's doing really well. She's doubled. She's tied for second place right now with Ron DeSantis. Some of the best polling of the year was done in the run-up to this debate, a huge national poll that showed Donald Trump at 60% and Nikki Haley and Ron DeSantis with about 15% each, or about 35, 45 points down on Trump. That's a huge number. What it also showed for Ron DeSantis was that he was the favorite second candidate. It's a typical question in polling here, but I've never seen one as detailed as this. And the question is this: if your favorite candidate drops out of the race, who's your favorite second choice? And Ron DeSantis is beating Nikki Haley by over 20 points in that category. In fact, Vivek Ramaswamy is beating Nikki Haley in that particular category. So while Nikki has done really well, and she had a good performance last week, it looks like her upside might be limited because not a lot of other people are looking at her as their favorite second choice.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm just going back to 6 months ago, right, when Ron DeSantis was talked about the guy who could actually give Donald Trump a big run for his money. But when you compare Ron DeSantis to Donald Trump, he's still nowhere in all of that. So, I mean, on that metric, Ron DeSantis has kind of failed to launch a bit, hasn't he?
Everybody has. Keep in mind, we're having this discussion about people who are 40 points behind the leaders. So, yeah, listen, Ron DeSantis has had a little bit of a bounce back after this debate. It was a good debate performance. And again, he is looking at that favorite second number, because that is kind of a big deal. Nikki Haley's had a good couple of months. She's doing particularly well. It's probably the last we've seen of Vivek Ramaswamy and Christie. So we're about, I think it's 40 days or something like that, Laura, until the Iowa caucuses, the first primaries of the year. We go into the Christmas season with Donald Trump firmly in first place, despite, again, he's had a difficult week in the courts and so forth, but his lead continues to just get larger and larger.
He's even outpolling Joe Biden now, isn't he?
He is, not only nationally, which, of course, we don't elect presidents nationally. Again, we do it state by state. But he's leading Joe Biden in these swing states, the states you sort of have to win. Everybody knows California is voting Democrat. Everybody knows Texas is floating Republican. It's those states that could go back and forth. There's 5 or 6 of them. And Donald Trump is beating Joe Biden in every single one of them, not by a huge margin, 4 or 5 points. But 6 months ago, he was losing by 4 or 5 points. So the momentum, to the extent that exists here, roughly a year out for the election, is still with Donald Trump. That's because inflation is still a problem. Other domestic policies are not going well. The border is a disaster here. Everything's going wrong for Biden. And again, he continues to get weaker. Trump continues to get stronger.
Is Hunter affecting Joe and his legal worries, or is that just a sideshow?
Yeah, it actually does affect him, and here's why. Hunter Biden got indicted again in California on new tax evasion charges, and they're really sordid. It details payments to adult online services, to women, and so forth. It's really sordid stuff, as you would imagine, with somebody who was having addiction issues at the time. But here's how it impacts Joe Biden. Joe Biden ran as sanity. He ran as calm after the Trump storm. Vote for me and things will get back to reasonably normal. Having your son being charged with tax evasion for giving money to hookers isn't exactly the type of thing that lends to that sanity and peace and quiet type of argument, and it's not helping Joe Biden at all.
Wow, Mick Mulvaney, we need another hour to get through everything, actually. So we look forward to talking to you next week. We'll do it all again.
Thanks, LJ.